Hello and welcome. It is the 26th of February, 2019. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades of the like, within each his own risk and their own reward. I have completed my analysis on the short-term trading amongst the NLC2 with results I am very pleased with. But first, reply to a comment received January 29th of the previous year from Future 999 Lifestyle. Hi, why don't you put any analysis here? And this is on tradingview.com. I really don't know how. And I just found this message today. I accidentally pushed one of these buttons. Calendar, hot list, data window, public chats. Maybe that's it. Private chats. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever pushed it. I just accidentally clicked it. I'm like, oh, what came up? Like literally maybe 45 seconds before, well, pushing the record button. Okay, throwing that aside, we got NLC2 down to 268, so down a bit more. Some buy orders filling for me. I still got more to go. And amongst the analysis of the NLC2, something in which I probably shouldn't have done the week because I could have scrolled back on the daily. But I guess while I'm here, going back to when this thing started. I mean, straight down, nice little sell candle here. A little bit of an up move and just flat 18, barely rising. Resistance was established on Christmas Eve. An attempt to break it. Obviously not successful as of yet, correcting right now with the 18. Well, that's what the chart formation states. So therefore, let's bring up the spreadsheet. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about this short-term trading, just to understand the numbers game, because it really was made very simple, at least the simplest I could make for what is many, many trades. And this is basically how it is done. So assume you were buying at 210. Your next buy would be 207, 3 basis points lower, 2 plus 1. 204, 201, 198, and then 196, because this number is a 1, and you add 1 to that, and it's every 2 basis points. So every 2 basis points on the 100s, 3 on the 200s, 5 on the 600s, 10 on the 900s, just one more than its number. And then you'd sell at 204. Actually, it's 214. I make so many carrying one mistakes. And within the spreadsheet, there might be a few small ones, but regardless of the aspect, it really doesn't make much of a difference at all. But assuming it was 204, but that should have been 214, because 19 is what I take, and I add 1 if this is not 0. So I round up. So it should have been, again, 214. But on 204, 207, buy back at 186, I take 20. Plus I add 1 more to this for 21. 207 this time, subtract 221 is 186. And then I take 18, round it up to 19, which comes to 205. I probably should check this. I didn't even double check it. When I was in high school and college, I always at least double checked it, usually triple checked it, but that was my Achilles heel. Mistakes like this all the time. I mean, I've called it the carrying the one mistake over and over and over again. Okay, throwing that aside. 208, we can see the differential 3 points on every one. 220, 223. Buy back at 200 because we take 22, round it up to 23 less 200. And for this, it starts with a 2. Now, technically, I guess it should be 198, now that I think about it. But either way, though, actually, a lot of times within this process, one of the times I've seen is, yeah, creativity really is important. As the book says, okay, I want to buy at a certain number, but this is a better play. You do the better play. And then on the higher numbers, like 15, 22, if you're going to buy again, we take 15, we round it up, That's 16 basis points. And again, there's another mistake. That should have been '06. So yeah, there could be an okay amount of mistakes in there, but a lot of it is like, for example, if I were to make this mistake where I buy or sell at a wrong price, I'm still making it at that point. But also, as I was thinking during one of my breaks earlier this afternoon, if you make a small mistake here and there in the real world, like you're supposed to sell at say 1504 and you do at 1501 or something, that happens in the real world, and you're going to have to live with what the actual result is. And some of the mistakes can cost me, some of them don't. Overall, sweet. Hang on a second. What I got was theta crossing 3589. It's hit my target level. I just had a sell order fill. But I'll talk more about theta probably later tonight on another video, on the technical analysis one. And I'm going to be buying that back at 2400. You know what? I'll probably put half buy at 28, or 2400, and another at 28, maybe 24 and 28. Do half and half. Or no, I might just do either. I'll think about that later on, which is later tonight. But we started here. This is what I did as far as just the normal intermediate trading. None of the short-term moves that I talk about. And started off buying at 949, selling at 1200. 1 representing buy, 2 representing sell, and so on and so forth. We can see the price went down to 141 and ending at 287. I used bold on here to indicate when I traded it in the short term, because this was a combination of doing both. Buying at these time frames, whenever the market dipped to this 141, I put the big buy order in. The big sell order here. Big sell order on all the 2s, big buy order on all the 1s. And I highlight them in red in the next spreadsheet. But I finished it right here. I finished it at this point. The net result with this was that you were down 20% from where you started, which is reasonably fair when you get into something around 950 and it's down below 300. Also, in this case, we're trying to gain coins. That's the main objective. And in this case, you started with 10,000. And you would have been at 27,000. So you would have been up about 4,000 coins, or 17,000 coins. So that's what you're looking to do. But again, down 20%. This one, it's better. So we start at 959, and what I'll do is I'm going to be pushing the page down on the keyboard, so I'll do one screen at a time. What I will do is make it so you can see the column, J that is. There we go. Now every column is viewable. And in here it started off by buying for 0.96 Bitcoin, having 1.03 back. My theory, and it's not really a theory, it's my estimates on mathematics. I try to use that estimate with the ing sound after it. And in this case, this market goes down to 151. It was never in need of this. And in fact, there was still a little bit to spare when it went down to that lowest point. And when you're trading short term, really what it comes down to is volume. You're trading smaller amounts. This is 1/200th of what you own from a bottom point. And it is for like 10% moves. When you compare that to the intermediate term, when you're trading maybe 10% of what you own, 20 times more, and you're looking for 30 or 40% moves, I mean, those are just bigger returns right there. Because we're looking at this where we turned 500 coins into 552. which is good. But when you're doing 50 of them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over, that's when they really accumulate very well. And in comparison, if say we were doing 10,000 and working for about a 30% gain, 35% gain, you'd be getting about 3,500. And therefore, when you're making 50, you need 10 for 500. You need 70 of these, or 60, over 60 of them, given it's still a little better than 10%, to equal to such. But we're going for both in this spot. The problem in this, mathematically, it needs time fine-tuning. And the way I'm currently trading NLC2, similar to this, is fine-tuned well. It needs maybe a bit more fine-tuning to be nice, but I don't need to change up my strategy right now that much, which is fantastic. So therefore, what we're going to do is I'm going to push a page down button. We're going to notice that this is the price. This is it in decimal form. This is how many you would own. This is how many you buy, how much you cut, what you can see on the thing. Same thing with the cells and so forth. So then that's, and then A just like whatever. That's just, if I need to just scribble or do math calculations, that's what I did there. So we'll just keep on. There's a lot of the, I mean, we're on cell, we can see 39 on the bottom. And this is a intermediate term one. So the price goes up to 11.96. This was that move right here. So therefore, when the next time it goes down to 9.50, then I would buy 11.981% worth of the coin. Simple. When this one sells at 00596, it buys back for 00596. And when you're trading this on places like Bittrex and most other sites that allow you to paste in just the value of it, you got the price, the amount you want to buy, and the cost in base currency. I will oftentimes say on Bittrex, copy how much I received on a sell, then I'll paste that into the buy. So in this example here, had I sold at 11.91 for this, I'd put my buy order in 1076, paste this into the screen, and then up top I'll see like these numbers like this pop up, say 552.8776, and I'll put my order in. So let's continue to scroll down. I'm going to scroll down many pages in here, at least until I put my alert in. And there's a buyback on one of the intermediate term ones. 12,580 were bought back at that time. So that was a significant move. So you can see the stakes go up a little bit, 526, 571. Again, that's 1/200th of my stack of altcoins at its lowest level. But that number doesn't go down until, it never goes down, it always goes up. So it stays at that number until it deserves to go higher. And after a whole bunch of buys, there we can see 571 to 692 fast. And these numbers did increase rapidly as time went on. But here we are trading over 200. I mean, there's lots. There's a lot of volume. And you can see oftentimes there's just so many in a row. And that's because they go up or down in a decent amount of time. And we're on row 500. Still waiting. But I have an alert for me to stop this and then talk about a certain price. But we're not there yet. We're on row 838. Here we are. It's a purple one. Row number 896. Almost 900 trades have been executed. I don't got the date on here, but that's really not too important. The price on last trade here, 287. But there actually is a buy order for 284 at that time as well. That's the last one that I have done on this. So I want to talk about what or how the balance looked at this point. After the buy order of 284 was completed, that you'd have of your original one Bitcoin, a little over one that you started with, it'd be down to zero point 0.6. This meant you would have, during the decline, had to have put in about 40% of your bankroll. And then you have the amount of coins you want, which is this number here, the one below it, because that's open inventory, which is the same as the close. Started off with 100,000, you'd be up to 250,000. That's the whole point of this. This is gain alt strategy, as I call it. Trying to gain altcoins, which in this case is what you're doing. And if we take 247,991 and multiply it by 284 Satoshi, that gets us 0.704. So your balance of alts is worth 3/5 of a Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is worth, well, three and a half, well, 7/10, and this is 3/5, or about 1.3. Well, we're starting with 2. So at this time, your portfolio is down 35%. And that's going to happen in downtrends. But as I've stated so often in these videos, it's all about hanging in there because there can be some long, long, long declines, as there is now. So we'll go over these numbers again at the end, which won't be too long because I'm just going to, well, it might be a little bit, but we'll see. So I'll scroll down some more. We got price going down to 244, 270, or we're on over 1,000 as far as the row number. Now continuously selling 1,820 over and over and over again. And yeah, noticing again with the problem here, this goes up to 495. This is where the upper seller hits, as I've talked about. Now before it did too, but I didn't count it as such, which is fine. There's another, I mean, that should be, I should be doing a little bit better on that statistically because of that mistake. But this one I didn't. This was where it goes up one shot, it went up like, pretty much doubled, or went up like 80% or some sort of nice amount. So you sell a little bit more on the second one. So there's a spot where you're selling, knowing that you're probably going to buy it back almost every single time. You go a little bit aggressive with your sell here. And at the time when this was completed, you had just completed selling, not counting all of these 1820s over and over and over again. You were selling 70, almost 80,000. So your inventory went from 190 to 112, liquidating a third of what you had. Reckless? Yeah, maybe. A lot of this strategy I noticed, oh my goodness, it's that huge risk of selling out. Which is why, again, modifications would be needed to be made. And in this case, like as I mentioned, maybe selling instead of 1/200th, maybe 1/300th for this move, or go instead of going up every like 1% or so, go up every 1.6%. Just little modifications like that. And even other things like make sure the maximum sell you can do is a certain amount, so that if this gets out of control, you'll start to reduce that number. And even period, just always reduce it a little bit as it goes higher. There's so many different mathematical measures. Creativity with numbers can get you very far in this game. So then let's continue to go back. But notice here what we sell, 45,033. We'll wait for the next two red numbers to come back on the buys. Well, the 45,000 brought back 69. Not bad. And the 33 brought back 44. And now we're on row 1331, 1372. Does this look right? Yep, that's just stuff like here. This is just one quick little buyback in here. And 28.50 going to 31.50. You're making 300. And I think this is where we're still on right now is 28.49 sell. And there's a big one right there, 54, and that's what I would do every time, 54,774 until I get a bet reset, which means I gain a lot of coins and and then it's higher than that, meaning 10% is higher. Because 10% of this is actually 22,000. But at this level, it's an aggressive sell. So maybe sell 42,000 or 38. Just different ways to ensure that when the markets go high, you always have a good level until you're very comfortable selling off with what should be a spectacular profits. So we're at row 1600. Yeah, it's getting to 2000. And we go further, 1915, we're on row. When you think about this, again, you're going 2850 to 3150, that's 300. And you do this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over. And now we're finished. $284 was the final price here. 287, of course, was the larger buy, which is why I finished it here. The market was down 20%. Just trading this way. But by adding all of these tiny, tiny orders in, over and over and over and over again, your portfolio now at this 284 mark has 1.37 Bitcoin, and you have a little over 300,000 of the altcoins. At that price point of 284, if we take the 300,000 and multiply it by 200, that amount of Satoshi, it comes up to 0.861 Bitcoin. And if we take 861 and add the amount of Bitcoin you hold at 1.37, well, that would give us a total of 2.236. Therefore, starting with 2 Bitcoins, your portfolio at this stage in under a year, pretty closer to a half a year even, but a little over 6 months, 7 months, you would have seen a 11% increase. But to make it even more spectacular, again, this is the gain alt strategy, as I call it. Your plan is to gain altcoins. I got the gain base strategy, where your plan is only to gain your base coin. I use them both in different coins. And amongst this, you have 300,000 of them when you started with 100,000. So you've been successful in the attempt, which is gain alt. You had 100,000, you have 300,000. But when you can get to the point where you're like, okay, how about this? How about I give you 3 times the amount of coins that you own? You started with 100, we'll give you just a bit more than double more. And how about I take like 37% or so? I'll give you a little bit of a refund on your Bitcoin, like a 0.35, a 0.36 spot. I'll just give you a little bit of a refund for what you put in. That's what's happened. You have tripled the amount of altcoins, and you've gotten a little bit of a refund on your BTC. Okay, so the first time the price fell to 284, as I stated, you had under 250,000 coins. So therefore, you've gained well over 50,000. And under 0.6 Bitcoin, which is now 1.37. So during the time when the price has remained the same, your portfolio has increased. Now, what I used to do in my early days of trading cryptos, basically February and March of 2017 mainly, is I would trade often. I'd trade like just say Bella on Poloniex mainly, and I would trade just Komodo say on or excuse me PivX rather on Bittrex. And what I would do is I would check at every price point what my portfolio was worth, and which is easy to do when that's all I pretty much held on those on those exchanges at the time. So I would see with say Coin Bella as one example, my first ever crypto that got me launching into great results. I got into it I think around 3,000 Satoshi, 2,800. So what I noticed was, say the price goes up to 3,500, and then it pulls back to 3,000. And then I noticed when it was at like 34, excuse me, 34 something, that I was at the exact same level I was at 35. Then it goes up to 4, and it goes back down to 3 or whatever. And I look at my 3 level, and I'm thinking, man, when I was, I'm at the same level I was when I was at 35 on the upswing, or 36. As far as my net profit is concerned. So every time you come up or down to a certain level, playing the strategy, your portfolio is always going to be looking better. That's the simple math on that. Well, if you understand it to be simple, that is. But that's the simple math upon this move. So if a bunch of sells come by and then it goes back down to buys, or if it goes back down and then back up to 284, your portfolio is going to be better. Now, against dollars, against whatever, that's a different story. But as far as gaining your value in the currency of your whatever the base is, we'll say, well, in this case, it's Bitcoin, you'll always notice that it's going to be better each time. If you have any more questions at all, let me know. I still got one more video that I want to do, and I want to cover this first so that I could talk about short-term trading along with it. Now, how I'm a little bit different than this, other than just playing simply on the math, I'm going to go with what I see it fit. I'm not going to be, oh, I have to trade this many points higher, no, or any of that kind of stuff. This is like, you look at this is like going like, well, 341, 345, like every 4 points, or every 1%. I'm mainly every 1.5%, 1.7, which works out pretty good that way. And right now I'm risking about 0.6% maybe on my short-term trades, which is pretty, I think, standard for it. There's been some down pressure for it today, so that means I'm going to now I'm adjusting. Where do I consider a good intermediate term sell level? And within finishing this video off, let's take a look at this. Before, I was selling a previous high. So let's just do mathematics first. What's 25% on around 250, which is where I bought last? Well, 20% is 300. I want better than that. And 30% would be another 250 for 325. Looks like I found my answer. Thank you for tuning in to this video. And have yourself a great day, morning, night, weekend, weekday, whatever it is for you. Bye-bye.